Hi, everybody. So this is for using some of the CSS3 documents and kind of how to work your way through them, how they're written. So you'll see in front of me here, this is your body tag here. And then inside that body tag for this particular one, and this is the card, I'll show you here in a minute what it does. But here it shows the div. And then it's got an AH reference flip, and I'll show you down here what that's doing, and then an AH reference hashtag reset, and then the word is flip and reset. What this hashtag, this is an anchor here, an anchor link, and what that does is jump and go to that particular photograph or that particular image down here. So you can see down here that this image has a div, class equals container. Again, that could be called anything. And then the ID here is flip. So see this particular link for flip, for this word up here, flip. And let me pull this down just a little bit for you here so you can kind of see this. But this word here, flip, this is that button. This is this. And in the CSS, that's why it appears the way it does. And then we have another anchor link here that is called reset. That's this button. And then how we build this, these two references here, these two links here, it's built inside of div class equals container. And that I'll show you in the CSS in a second how that's written or stylized. And then ID equals flip. And then the figure, this is all wrapped inside of a figure. So remember the figure tag. So the figure is a class equals card. And then it has the image, class equals back. The source is back.jpg. So this is how that image gets in there. And then the other image is class equals front, and the source q-hearts is .jpg is also contained inside of this figure tag, and there's a closing tag for the figure. This is the back, which is kind of showing right here, and then the Queen of Hearts is the front. All right, and we need two of these on here, so two of these sources like this, because we want to be able to reset it, and that's the purpose of this. Let me, before I scroll down here a little bit more, let me show you what this is doing. So if I pull it up on the internet, which I thought I had it here, but let me preview it. I might have shut that, but I'll preview it here. So here is this card. If you click on flip, it'll flip the card over to the Queen of Hearts. And if you click on reset, it'll flip the card back to the front. So pretty cool, right? I mean, it'd be kind of nice to do that maybe with your portfolio. All right, I'm going to close this. And coming back in here, so this is, your div. This is how it's built. Again, we're going to work with these anchor points here, these anchor tags here. And that's what's going to create this flip for the front and the back. Okay, so let's see how that works. Again, it's contained in a div, href equals flip, and so on. The ID on here equals flip. All right, let's go back up here now, and I'll show you the style sheet. So I'm going to go up to the very top here. Title is playing card. Then you have the style type equals text /CSS. The body tag, for these exercises, this is how they write the body tag a lot. So depending on the size of whatever the image is inside here, or whatever the animation issue is inside of here, then they'll write the div accordingly. But anyway, right now they have the body div as a width of 224 pixels, and then the margin is 50 pixels in auto for the height. So that's what's containing this in the center of that. All right, container, class of container. Remember down here was class of container, right here. ID equals flip. Okay, so class of container, if I scroll back up here, it also has the width of 224 pixels. It is giving it a specific height of 313 pixels. The margin at the top is 30 pixels, and that's, again, so kind of so you can fit in these links here. And then WebKit perspective, 700 pixels. That's kind of what is helping to transform this. And as I again move kind of through here, you'll see how that kind of functions. All right, class of card. If you recall, we had that class of card down here somewhere. So inside your figure, you have class equals card. So that's the beginning of your figure tag. All right, coming back up here, just so you can kind of see where all these are. So for the card itself, and that's this is the figure. This whole figure this is what's contained inside of this. That's your figure. All right, so class of card, the margin is 0. And then it has a transition. So it's telling it to take 2 seconds when you click on this flip, take 2 seconds to transition. And then the transition style is preserve a 3D perspective. That's what's giving it this appearance here, that it's actually in 3D, that it's actually flipping in 3D. That's what's giving it this 3D appearance. So it's not just flipping, but it's flipping in 3D. All right, so that's what this preserve hyphen 3D stands for. Your container target and your class card, so your class container target, class container card, is transform rotate Y. So that's, remember, your Y axis. Then it says rotate it negative 180 degrees. That's what's, again, causing that flip. It's rotating 180 degrees in the Y axis. So when I click on this, it rotates 180, not 360, not all the way around, but halfway. All right, the card image, class card image, is position is absolute. That's what's keeping it centered right here. And then it says back face visibility hidden. That's for your class of card. Class of card, class front, transform rotate again 180 degrees. That's what's causing that. And then we have for the link some padding and so on that's kind of keeping that link, these two where they're at, and also gives it this appearance. So the padding is 10 pixels. That's how you have this space around the outside of this. That's the 10 pixels. The background is EE. Okay, that's the color of the background. That's why it's that grayish. Text decoration, none, so you don't have anything underlining. It gives it a specific font. And in here, this is the way we kind of start writing things now, is that we give it the size, it's 1M, and then you can also name whatever font you want to use for that. So you can actually put that in one line. You don't have to say font hyphen size equals, and then, your colon and 1M, or font is Arial, but yet you can put that in the same thing. All right, the border radius is 5 pixels. We already kind of know what that is, but that's what's creating this rounded rectangle on the card. And then the color is for the text is the 333. All right, for hover, the background is DDD. So it changes when you hover over. It just gets a little darker. And that's it. And so the idea is that if you wanted to use this, then you can copy and paste this code. You would have to work out how you name things, or you can maybe set up, your website, your images, so that each one has maybe a different class on it or something, or, you would have to have buttons at the top. The buttons at the top for the flip, they're going to stay the same as far as the code goes to make them flip. So you wouldn't have to change that. because each one would maybe, as you go across here, maybe your next image would have the flip and reset or whatever, however you wanted to word that. That could be up here. So, I mean, each one could have the flip reset. You wouldn't have to change anything there. And then as far as, your transition and so on goes, that would remain the same. What you would have to work out is just so that as you put them in your, in some kind of a container, whether maybe you have several different figures, you can do it something like that. But, all sorts of ways that you could set it up. But the point is that, you can go in and copy this code down. You see how the div itself is set up. So each picture maybe would be in its own div. And then each one would have its own class, because you would have to decipher between each image being separate. So you would have to, I don't mean decipher, but distinguish between each one so that it's separate. But that's how that would work. So you'd have to copy paste the code in and then rearrange your images. Your image source here, you just change this out. So instead of, source equals back.jpg, maybe it's your out of bounds or something. And the Queen of Hearts is maybe, again, some form of documentation or something about the out of bounds project itself, or something about the image, what size it is, what color you did it in, RGB or CMYK, and something about the project. You could do that on the backs, and that's, of course, it's all going to take time, but I'm just showing you this specific one because there's a lot of them in here that are really cool, that have some really neat designs to it. And it's just kind of up to you to figure out how you maybe want to incorporate that into your website. Let me click through just a couple more of these in here. I think I have it kind of open here, but let's look at a couple more of these here. So this one, as you saw, it translates along the z-axis. That's that 3D axis. You've got, let's see, rotating the Y. So if I animate this, it flips the other way. You've got rotating in 3D. Okay. Translating 3D. So that moves out. You've got scale Z. All right. And some of these other folders, if I go back here to, oh, this is animating. This is kind of cool to animate a 3D cube. So you can go left, right, top, bottom. Kind of cool. All right, I can go back in here. I know 8 had some, kind of really cool stuff in it as well. Let's look at this one. Is just kind of moving around, combining animations. All right, a wobble. Please don't use that. Hopefully you laughed at that. Here in 6, actually I think 9, but here's a scattered gallery. This one I know that I used on a site once. But as you roll over the different images, then they pop out like this. So I think that one's kind of cool. And I'll open that one up, in, let me open that one up in Dreamweaver here and just kind of show you how that is laid out. But you have several in there, inside of there, that are galleries. And I know some of you were looking for some different galleries. So how this is set up is this has, well, let me go down here first. It's kind of a more complicated code. And what you would do, my recommendation would be to just copy this whole thing as it is and then just change the names of the images in each one of these, So it's built with the unordered list and then a list, closing unordered list. That's it. So it's all about how you write the CSS, right? So how do you write the CSS to get these to kind of pop out like this and rotate, right? Got stuck on that one. All right, so let's go look at this. And again, you would just take this code and, paste it into your own CSS. But they have, again, like I said, your body and so on is set up pretty much the same all the time. And then you have on-order list with a width and height, margins, list style, font, font. And then here's kind of where these, so it has already, a sepia on here. So WebKit filter sepia. It's kind of interesting with a specific position being relative. And then it has a float left. So that's how they're all kind of aligned. So each one of your lists is aligned to the left and then has these other properties. The transition takes 0.8 seconds. And then you have a hover that changes the sepia. Right here, the sepia is 0.7. And then on your hover, it changes to 0. Now, all of this, your lnth, your list, nth, child's, I'm not going to go into all of it with you, but that's what's creating the movement on all of these. So it's basically saying that on the nth, for every child image, that the margin right is 0, and that to start out with, this is 3n, which is the positioning of it and how it's laid out. And then the lnth last child is minus n plus 3. So each time it's adding on a different position to it. And then you have your image, and it talks about, it goes through, sizing it and the border and so on. And then again, you have now nth child 1, nth child 2, and all of these have different transform properties. So the translate and the transform are different properties. So again, what you would need to do is just copy this whole thing for all the different images. And then it also has a shadow, box shadow on it for the hover. But you would go in and just copy this whole thing. You wouldn't change any of these properties at all. Just leave them as they are. Copy it, paste it, and then all you do is down here, change your images so that it's the correct image inside of this box. Anyway, go ahead and explore. That's it. I'm not going to cover any of the others, but those are a couple different ones that are kind of fun, and I just wanted to show you how to use these HTML documents. Just take them, open them up in Dreamweaver, and then once you get them opened up in there, go ahead and tear the code apart. You know enough about the code that some of this, certainly a lot of this, actually will start making sense to you. All right, that's it.